The show is great so far. I just want to put half a star there to annoy people. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into Frieren, Beyond Journey's End, an anime that's turning heads with its unique take on the aftermath of fantasy adventures. It follows Frieren, a mage who's left to ponder the passage of time and the weight of her long life after her hero party's epic journey. Sounds pretty intense, right? Well, I'm going through the absolute worst reviews so you don't have to. Get ready for some cringe-worthy critiques and hot takes as we sift through the internet's finest not-so-great opinions. Let's dive in. Watch the first 4 episodes. This shit is lame as hell. Garbage for emotionally starved loser teens. The fact a show like this made it to the #1 spot on my anime list is a massive red flag for anime as a whole. Cozy isn't a genre. This fits more under embarrassing to watch. Alright, let's tackle this gem of a review. Frieren is apparently lame as hell and a garbage fire for emotionally starved loser teens. Wow, that's a hot take. They're also calling the anime's cozy vibe embarrassing to watch. Cozy isn't a genre, huh? I guess this review missed the memo on what makes shows like this great. Maybe they were expecting dragons and explosions every 5 seconds. If you're here for some heartwarming, reflective storytelling, Frieren might just be your cup of tea. I'll say this show is actually pretty chill, and to be honest, there's not much death. There's not much death. When I say this, I mean there's still a few deaths that just grinds my fucking gears. I swear they should have hired me as the director. I would have made this show 10x more better than this shit. Alright, next review coming in hot. This person saying Frieren is pretty chill, but has a major issue with the lack of death. Yeah, you heard that right. Too few deaths. Apparently, the few deaths that do happen are enough to grind their gears. Man, sounds like someone's been watching a few too many gore fests and was really hoping for more carnage. And get this, they're convinced they could have directed it better. Maybe they should have given them a call. Who knows? We might have had a Frieren with a body count high enough to satisfy the death-hungry critic. Probably the most overrated anime of all time. Do yourself a favor and watch Natsumi Yujinku, Nastium's Book of Friends, Kino's Journey, Dororo, Spice and Wolf in March comes in like a lion. Then if you really want to waste a few hours of your life, watch this anime and realize how insanely bad it is compared to the series you just watched before this. The animation quality is fairly high, with decent music at times, and if you just start watching it, you may even think it's going to be good, but you would be wrong. Nothing interesting really happens. The characters are all shallow and boring. Cliché after cliché comes at you along with basic jokes that will make your eyes roll. You may come into it thinking it's an epic fantasy anime, but it is at most a basic slice of life. And at that it fails miserably. Alright, let's tear into this purist review. This person's calling Frieren probably the most overrated anime of all time. Yeah, because clearly, if it's not a masterpiece of their perfect anime taste, it's trash. They want you to watch their holy list of better shows first and then come back to see how Frieren supposedly fails. What a shocker! Someone who can't handle anything outside their precious purist bubble. They admit the animation and music are decent, but then go on a rant about shallow characters and basic jokes. Come on, if you're getting this worked up over cliches, maybe it's time to get off your high horse and realize that not every anime needs to be a perfect gem to be worth watching. Maybe take a break from your purist soapbox and enjoy something without setting it on fire. Stockholm Syndrome. Have you ever watched one of those very long, boring, and slow dramas in the movies that always get Oscar nominations? Those stories could have been told in much less time. A story being told in more time than is necessary is treating you like an idiot and is wasting your precious limited time alive. Also, have you ever heard of Stockholm Syndrome? It's when you are stuck with something for so long, you end up liking it. Kind of the same reason why people love their families, their cities, their homes, their countries. Well, the only way people can like this series is due to Stockholm Syndrome. It's so boring that even the characters in it are bored or apathetic all the time. All the interesting things, like fighting a big demon, has already happened. Also, characters are boring, uncreatively written, and annoying. Alright, buckle up for this one. So, this genius is comparing Frieren to a Stockholm Syndrome experience. Apparently, if you like the show, it's because you've been brainwashed into it. They're comparing it to those long, slow Oscar bait dramas that supposedly could have been told in half the time. They're basically saying that if you enjoy Frieren, it's because you've been trapped in its boredom for so long that you're starting to think it's good. Oh, look, another show where the characters are always bored and nothing interesting happens, they say. Newsflash, if a bit of character depth and slow burn storytelling is too much for you, maybe it's not the show's fault, it's your attention span. So next time you're stuck in a series, maybe just enjoy the ride instead of assuming it's a psychological experiment. Frieren is overrated, but you already knew that. I'll keep it short. Let's start with the positives. The early episodes are charming. After Frieren's new crew expands, the anime turns into decent, enjoyable slop. Just good enough to pass the time. The art style and coloring is nice. However, the animation can dip in quality at times. Voice acting is good. Ost is forgettable. Opinette or skip as always. Now, the negatives. A million flashbacks, unnecessary info dumps, cringy and uncharismatic characters hogging up screen time. The writer thinks that you're an idiot who needs to be spoon-fed every single detail. Just stop watching after episode 17 if you value your time. Everything bad about the show gets amped up to 100. Frieren should have stayed a slice of life. So, Frieren is apparently overrated. Surprise, surprise. They give it a few pats on the back, saying the early episodes are charming and the art's nice, but then it all turns into decent, enjoyable slop. Wow, what a glowing recommendation. They've got a love-hate thing going on here. Art's good, animation's hit or miss, voice acting solid. But the Austin opening, ending are skips. Classic mixed signals. Then comes the rant, a million flashbacks, info dumps, and cringe-worthy characters. Seriously, if you're that bothered by a few flashbacks and some character development, maybe try a documentary. They suggest stopping after episode 17 because the show supposedly cranks up everything bad about it. So, basically, if you want to keep your sanity and avoid getting spoon-fed like a baby, just quit while you're ahead. Sounds like someone's got a serious case of, I'm too cool for this syndrome. Started with massive potential. I felt my heartstrings being played with ever so gently, but as the series crept onward, all such feelings dissipated and I was left with annoyance and emptiness mostly. The story goes through the same loop. New town, train, meet a few strangers, kill the weak baity, have a memory, Frieren like magic, and repeat for 28 by 20 minutes. Like 1 or 2 times I get, but it's unrelenting. It's like I'm in an ARPG that has every new area copy pasted from an old area. The whole story is based around the subtle character progression of Frieren. The ever so subtle smiles after a warming moment. The first time was fine, but it felt like they kept pushing for moments of situations where Frieren smiles ever so gently. Additionally, her chipperness and aloofness seemed somewhat contradictory a lot of the time. Is she indifferent? Is she spending 1,000 years going from aloof to warm? She seems to be aloof a lot of the time and then chipper and then aloof again. No one can love her. If the story remains the same, it's as though I'm watching a 5-year-old's emotional state. 5-year-olds are more interesting than Frieren actually. And I'm meant to believe that just because they're an elf, they remain retarded for 1,000s of years. It's the show of everybody loves Frieren for no reason. Yeah, she saved the world, but she could easily have spent the past 200 years chasing after a single butterfly with not a worry and then spent the next 200 years chasing the same butterfly. Frieren is a tool of circumstance. Every choice was made for her in the story. She's just annoying. The show is easy to watch. It's light but gets a little heavier toward the end and not heavier in the emotional sense. Heavier in the bearability sense. It's watchable and enjoyable in the beginning. It's not even melancholy in the end. It's just nothing. Alright, let's break down why this reviewer's off the mark. First, they complain about the show being repetitive. Guess what? Most stories have recurring themes or structures. Frieren uses this to build emotional depth and consistency, not to bore you to tears. If you can't see past a bit of repetition, maybe it's not the show but your own expectations that need adjusting. Next, they slam Frieren's character development as childish and retarded. Seriously, the character's journey is about subtle growth over a long period, which might not be flashy, but it's deeply intentional. If you can't appreciate a more nuanced emotional arc, that's on you, not the show. Finally, calling the series nothing by the end is just a lazy dismissal. Frieren wraps its story with a quiet, reflective tone that might not be for everyone, but that doesn't make it worthless. Sometimes, depth and complexity don't scream at you, they whisper. So, Next time you're hating on something, maybe try understanding it first. This review is less about the show and more about the reviewer's inability to engage with something outside their comfort zone. Alright, folks, that's a wrap on today's review deep dive. We tackled some seriously scathing takes on Frieren and found a lot of hot air in those critiques. Whether it's complaints about repetition, character development, or just plain old grumbling, it's clear that some people are just not ready to appreciate a show that goes beyond the surface. Remember, not every anime has to fit a cookie-cutter mold or deliver instant gratification. Sometimes, depth and subtlety take a bit of patience to really get. If you enjoyed Frieren or are thinking of giving it a shot, don't let these harsh reviews steer you away. Dive in, form your own opinion, and keep an open mind. End of video.